see my Google Doc in the meeting, right? All right.
Now we do.
Opened a brand new Google Doc. First thing I'm going to do is share it with Miss Ingram and Mrs. Hunter. I will title it Opinion Essay. And if I just type in Mrs. Hunter's name and my name, it'll come up, and then you can hit send. All right, so first things first. Whenever you guys have been assigned a writing activity, it is so important to brainstorm, and there's a reason behind it. The more you guys brainstorm first, the easier writing is. It's almost like you're trying to get out as many ideas to help guide what you write about in the first place. All right, but before we start brainstorming, we first have to look at the prompt. All right, so the prompt again is, now that we have explored the perceptions of Dr. Frankenstein and his monster, who is to blame for the destruction and despair? So again, during my brainstorming, I explicitly answer who is to blame. So the prompt is asking, who is to blame? All right. Well, let me first think of the characters that could be blamed. I would say Dr. Frankenstein, because he created the monster. And again, if you guys weren't here on Friday, don't forget the monster. He started out really nice, and then it's like he just kind of lost his mind and wanted revenge on Frankenstein, and he started killing all these people that had some type of connection to Frankenstein. So I could also say that the monster is to blame because he was the one that actually killed people. All right. So again, the prompt said, who is to blame? All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a table in, and I could say Dr. Frankenstein on one side, and I'm going to say monster on the other. All right. The reason why I'm doing this kind of reminds me of a T-chart, okay? So in my T-chart, I want to list as many reasons that I can blame these characters as possible. And then based on those lists, I'm going to pick which one I want to write about. So I'll say Dr. Frankenstein is to blame on this side. Monster is to blame on this side. All right, so now that I have brainstormed the characters that could be blamed, now I'm going to come up with as many reasons as I can think about. The reason why we include as many reasons as we can is it makes the writing process so much easier if we have a whole bunch of ideas now. All right, so what are some reasons why I could blame Dr. Frankenstein? Well, first, he created the monster. All right.
He was playing God.
Yeah, so he was playing God. It's almost like he wanted some type of power. He wanted power. I know he was really big into like owning things, because I remember he seemed kind of weird when it came to Elizabeth. So I could say that he was possessive,
controlling,
and wanted to own things. And I shouldn't even say things. I'm going to say people. He wanted to own people. He was controlling. Yeah. The other thing.
Obsessed with science.
What was that?
Obsessed with science.
Obsessed.
With scientific discovery.
Yeah, because I remember he was obsessed with science and electricity. And again, guys, right now we're just throwing out as many ideas as we can. That way, when I get to drafting, I have a whole bunch of stuff that I can include in my essay if I choose. All right. Another thing that really kind of bothers me is that Frankenstein created this monster, but then he abandoned him and pretended that he didn't even exist. So I could say that he left monster all alone, or he didn't care for his creation. And again, if you are supposed to be cared for by someone that has created you and they say, ooh, you look too weird, I want nothing to do with you. Again, like, imagine how the monster feels. All right. So the monster, now that I have brainstormed ways Dr. Frankenstein is to blame, now I'm going to brainstorm ways the monster is to blame. So for example, he was the one that killed the people. He killed all the people. Don't forget he killed William. He killed Henry. He killed Elizabeth. But also on the flip side, he tried to help people before this, and it didn't go his way. Based on the way he looked, everyone was like, oh, that guy, he looks kind of scary. We want nothing to do with him. He wanted revenge.
Mm-hmm. His loneliness was kind of overtaking him too.
Yeah, he was lonely. I can even say that he was consumed by loneliness. All right, another is, let's see. So this kind of gives me a clue. If I'm struggling to think of reasons to blame the monster, maybe this gives me a clue as to who I should write about in my essay. Let me ask you guys, do you have anything else that we can add to the monster side as to why the monster should be blamed?
You can unmute and tell us too.
Yeah, what do you guys think? The more ideas, the easier it is to write. All right, so based on my T-chart list, the question in the prompt is, who is to blame? It's not saying, tell me everyone that's to blame. It's specifically saying who is to blame. So that tells me I have to pick one or the other. My list on the Dr. Frankenstein side is relatively long compared to the monster. So just by looking at this, I have decided that I am going to write my essay on why Dr. Frankenstein is to blame. Okay? So under my brainstorming session and notes, I'm going to start drafting. All right. Again, this is all in the Google Doc that you guys have created and shared with both myself and Mrs. Hunter. So below the brainstorming, now I can start drafting. And again, I've decided that in my essay, I'm going to blame Dr. Frankenstein. Okay. All right, give me a second. I will stop the recording and then I will show you what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.